So today I'm making a movie about depression. I'm going to go around asking 3 different counselors from 3 different buildings of iDTech what they know and inform them of what they don't. 350 million people in the world suffer with depression, and the main causes are grief, substance abuse, big changes in life, and basically anything very traumatic. So, Viking, how many people do you think suffer with depression in the world?
In the entire world, I would say 22 million.
22 million. And what do you think the cause or causes of depression are?
Across the world, I think there's probably a lot of different causes of depression. Everyone has different standards and ideas of happiness. I think in the Western and developed world, it might be this idea that they can never reach their goals. So maybe they're not content in their surroundings, and maybe that they'll never have everything they wanted. I think that might be a cause of it. Another cause of depression could be anxiety and just the social aspects of what we surround ourselves with. I think that negativity feeds into depression.
So I did some research, and it said that 350 million people in the world suffer from depression, and so that's 5% of the world's population. And there were a lot of different causes, but there were grief and big life changes like retirement or getting married. They were having cancer can make you really depressed, and just things like that. So now that you've heard that, what do you think?
People that are going through extraneous circumstances. So having different types of support systems and how you treat people with depression might play a larger part in how these tragedies could surround their mental and emotional well-being.
Okay, thank you so much for participating.
The majority of the population at any given point in time will suffer with depression.
And what do you think the causes are?
Depending on what people are going through, obviously there's chemical conditions that people have that affect their mental state, right, and emotional state. Mental affects emotional, obviously. So chemical imbalances in that way. I think any type of traumas, people deal with different traumas, changes in life, anything that can cause a disruption or a perceived disruption in, I guess, the peaceful state of a person's living or well-being can kind of have a depression. I think I've even heard people they have their favorite TV show and they're watching it on Netflix, and then it ends, and then they kind of just slump into even a minor depression. So I think there are different degrees of depression. Some are a little bit more severe than others. Some are pretty mild and they're normal. But yeah.
So you were really on point. So the number that I got from Google was 350 million people in the world, which equal to 5% of the population. At this moment. And some different things were, like you said, medical conditions, abuse happens in their life changes, also genetics, substance abuse too, and hormone changes, specific medical things like cancer can cause depression, different medications can cause depression. And so just now that you've learned all this, now that you've heard from me, and also you've said it yourself, how do you what do you think?
I think just about anyone can be subject to depression at a given point in time in their life for a variety of different reasons. It's definitely something that I feel people should get help and treatment for, because then there's adverse effects to it. Some people know how to deal with depression more so than others. And some you just need, it's not just a counseling situation, it actually requires medication. But it's good to know. I didn't realize it was just 5%, because I guess in my mindset I feel maybe clinically it would be 5%, but I think just about any person in their life would undergo some state of depression. It's just part of being a human being and going through life. But that would make complete sense to me. Kind of spiraled her into a depression. Not as talkative. Times alone, a lot of sleeping as a result. So they talk about like you don't really have enthusiasm or desire to do some of the things that you typically want to do. So there's that. There's a lot of different people I know, including myself, have had times where I've been depressed and lost appetite and things that just kind of like disrupt the emotional state a little bit, or just kind of derail it from what we're used to. People, like I have friends who they were dating and they broke up and they went through depression. You know, losses, typically with losses for the most part, loss of a job, you know, different things like that.
Thank you for participating.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, Crash, how many people in the world do you think suffer with depression?
That's a big number. Around 8 billion people in the world, depending on varying circumstances, probably up to a third.
And what do you think the main cause or causes of depression are?
Besides like traumatic incident usually causing either a chemical imbalance or just psychological issues with that, a lot of times it has to do with just situations.
So, 350 million people in the world suffer with depression, so it's like 5% of the population of the world.
Yeah.
And the main causes are like traumatic events, grief, abuse, substance abuse, genetics, hormone change, and just, you know, things like big life changes like getting married or getting retired. Yeah, so now that you like know this mixed with like what you already knew, what you already thought, what do you think?
In regards to depression in general, I mean, like, what are the numbers? I think that at least my personal like relations and people I know probably affected that a lot more of inflating those numbers in my head, because my late grandmother was suffering with it for a while. My sister fights with it a little bit. Yeah.
So kind of to piggyback on what I already asked, do you think you could remember a time or times when you just like noticed like symptoms of like people you know like with depression?
Yeah. With my grandmother, it was a lot of sheltering herself. She used to be very sociable, exciting. After it happened, she was very inside, isolated. She didn't want to interact with people, and she started to not eat nearly as much. Yeah, it was something that was hard to see, especially because I was at college at the time. So I wasn't even able to really deal with it. I was mostly like I'd be coming to visit and seeing it, and then I'd be hearing from my family at college away.
Okay. Thank you for participating. After interviewing Viking, Powers, and Crash, I did realize that these counselors, and especially maybe more adults and people in general, actually have a lot of knowledge about depression, more than I thought they would. I think it's mostly because everyone had some experience with a family member who was depressed or someone they knew. So I think that I in fact realized more that a lot of people have seen depression or have experienced it themselves, and that is like very common, and it's a little bit shocking, but it's also very real. And that was kind of part of my goal of making this movie, was to find out and raise more awareness, and also for myself to understand more about the knowledge and of what people know about depression.